The human mind is increasingly trapped in an endless loop of distractions. It starts innocently, checking a notification, replying to a message, scrolling through social media. But soon, this becomes a habitual escape from real life. Carl Jung would argue that this tendency reflects the shadow aspect of our psyche, the parts we repress and avoid confronting. The proliferation of technology addiction, be it through cell phones, computers, games, or social media, is freezing our individuation process, that essential journey toward becoming the self. Without realizing it, we trade life fulfillment and creativity for dopamine hits from a screen. You see it everywhere. People walking with heads down, glued to their phones, oblivious to the world around them. This disconnection from life deepens feelings of loneliness, anxiety, and even existential dread. Instead of facing inner silence and engaging in meaningful inner dialogue, we seek constant stimulation. The archetype of the distracted mind dominates, weakening the body-mind-soul connection. This dependency fosters fear and insecurity, making it hard to sit with oneself in solitude and serenity. Vices flourish in this climate of avoidance and disconnection. Technology addiction isn't just about wasting time. It's about evading life's deeper questions and emotions. Psychoanalysis reveals that addictions often arise when there's a disconnect from the core of human experience, presence. Rather than exploring the symbolism of everyday moments or embracing synchronicities that might guide personal growth, many drown in the artificial sensationalism perpetuated by social media and news outlets. Helena Blavatsky spoke of the voice of silence as the gateway to wisdom, but technology often drowns that voice in endless noise. To make it practical, if you find yourself unable to sit quietly without grabbing your phone, that's a red flag. Mindfulness practices such as meditation or simply taking mindful walks in nature can help restore the balance between body, mind, and soul. Try dedicating 1 hour daily without any technology, no cell phones, no screens. Instead, focus on presence, moment awareness, and creativity. This can reignite your imagination and reduce the pathological anxiety born from constant digital stimulation. Of course, resisting the allure of these distractions is easier said than done, especially when society glamorizes being always connected. But it's essential to recognize that excessive engagement with technology can prevent individuation and hinder personal growth. By reclaiming our time and attention, we begin to heal the fractured relationship with our inner world. This opens the door to explore how technology, when properly used, can serve as a tool rather than becoming a tool that uses us. Proper use of technology without losing control. Technology, in its essence, is neutral. It's neither good nor bad until we decide how to use it. The human mind, however, is susceptible to letting this tool control it rather than the other way around. Carl Jung would likely remind us that without self-awareness, the archetype of the machine can overpower the archetype of the creator within us. Using technology consciously means embracing it as an extension of our creativity and imagination, not allowing it to dictate our presence or fragment the body-mind-soul connection essential for individuation. Think of social media platforms. They are designed to keep users hooked, exploiting human tendencies toward distraction and instant gratification. If we're not careful, technology addiction creeps in subtly, transforming us into passive consumers. The key lies in cultivating customer awareness, not in the marketing sense, but in the sense of being deeply aware of how we, as customers of technology, are being influenced and, at times, manipulated. Recognizing this allows for the development of personal growth strategies that promote mindfulness and moment awareness. Here's a practical example. Before opening an app, ask yourself, am I using this as a tool, or is this tool using me? Setting intentional boundaries like disabling unnecessary notifications or scheduling no tech hours fosters life fulfillment and reduces anxiety. By consciously interacting with technology, we resist becoming entangled in media manipulation and news sensationalism that fuel insecurity and fear. Instead, we preserve our serenity and cultivate inner silence, reconnecting with the vital parts of ourselves that thrive in solitude and stillness. Technology can also be a magnificent facilitator of human connection when used wisely. It can help maintain long-distance relationships, provide access to vast reservoirs of knowledge, and even support personal growth through online learning. But these benefits only materialize when technology serves the human mind and does not replace genuine human connection. As Carl Jung emphasized, individuation is only possible when we integrate rather than dissociate from the tools we create. So, the question is, are you mastering your tools or letting them master you? Without realizing it, many slip into subtle vices, mindlessly scrolling, compulsively checking for updates, constantly seeking distraction, all in an attempt to avoid the discomfort of inner dialogue and solitude. But mastering technology's role in your life prepares the ground for healthier engagement with the world, paving the way to explore how tech dependence can physically shape not just your mind, but even your very posture and body. Physical consequences of tech dependence. The body doesn't lie. While the mind might rationalize hours spent hunched over a screen, the body quietly accumulates the cost. Predictions from health experts already warn about the degradation of human posture due to excessive tech use. Poor head posture, rounded shoulders, and weakened spines. The human mind, so absorbed by the allure of technology addiction, forgets that the body-mind-soul connection is inseparable. As Carl Jung often reminded, what is not made conscious manifests as fate. In this case, as chronic pain and physical dysfunction. You've probably seen it. People with necks bent like question marks, eyes glued to their cell phones, oblivious to their body's silent cries. This embodiment of addiction is not metaphorical, it's literal. Social media scrolling, binge gaming, and endless screen time transform the very way we hold ourselves in space. It weakens core muscles and erodes the sense of human presence in the physical world. The symbolic degradation of posture mirrors the internal disconnection from life and self-awareness, breeding anxiety, insecurity, and fear. Consider introducing small practices that counter these trends: daily stretching, mindful walking, or even engaging in movement-based disciplines like yoga or Tai Chi. These practices don't just repair posture. They rebuild the fractured relationship between mind and body. Re-establishing physical presence is an act of individuation, a reclaiming of the self from the grip of technological distractions. Helena Blavatsky's call to heed the voice of silence can be interpreted as a return to listening to the body's subtle signals, often drowned out by technological noise. It's not just about how we stand, but how we live. The posture of someone addicted to technology reflects not only musculoskeletal strain, but also psychological patterns of retreat and avoidance. Addictions form when presence is replaced by escapism, when life fulfillment is substituted by the shallow comfort of virtual entertainment. Psychoanalysis reveals that such dependencies are compensations for deeper needs for connection, creativity, and self-encounter. The human mind, in its brilliance, seeks comfort, but not always in the healthiest places. As we begin to recognize the physical embodiment of addiction, it naturally leads us to ask, if we love our bodies and cherish life, why would we allow ourselves to degrade like this? Reclaiming our physical posture is the first step toward loving life more fully, which then becomes the key to avoiding escapism altogether. Loving life to avoid escapism. Loving life is perhaps the most potent antidote to addiction and distraction. When the human mind is deeply engaged with the richness of daily experience, there's simply no need to escape. Carl Jung would say that fulfillment comes through individuation, embracing the totality of who we are, integrating both light and shadow. Escapism through technology addiction often signals a disconnection from this process. Instead of nurturing life fulfillment through presence, people get trapped in loops of artificial stimulation and media manipulation. Think about the last time you genuinely noticed the small, meaningful details around you. The sunlight filtering through your window, the sound of birds on your commute, the quiet comfort of your home. These moments offer opportunities for presence and serenity. But technology addiction often hijacks our attention, making it difficult to appreciate these symbols of life. Helena Blavatsky emphasized the importance of the voice of silence, a state we can only reach when we're not enslaved by incessant distractions. Cultivating presence in simple daily tasks can be transformative. For example, instead of mindlessly scrolling through your phone while eating, focus entirely on the taste, texture, and aroma of your food. Or, during your commute, practice mindfulness by observing the scenery rather than getting lost in social media. These are practical ways to counter pathological anxiety and foster moment awareness. The human mind thrives on creativity and imagination, but these faculties need space that is often stolen by compulsive tech use. This love for life also makes us more resistant to vices and technological escapism. When life itself is fulfilling, when we experience connection, creativity, and meaningful interactions, the urge to seek solace in distractions diminishes. The body-mind-soul connection strengthens, promoting personal growth and reducing the existential fear and insecurity that often fuel addiction. Psychoanalysis teaches that addictions fill a void, but when life is full, there's simply no void left to fill. And yet, how does one deepen this love for life in a world saturated with distractions and fear-driven news sensationalism? It starts with presence, with noticing, with savoring. As we cultivate these practices, we open ourselves to the power of presence, a wisdom that Carl Jung considered essential for maintaining the unity of body, mind, and soul. The power of presence. Lessons from Carl Jung. Presence is more than just being physically somewhere. It's about engaging fully with the moment, allowing body, mind, and soul to move in harmony. Carl Jung often spoke of the necessity to integrate all aspects of the psyche, and presence is where that integration happens. Without presence, the human mind is fragmented, lost in distractions, technology addiction, and endless inner dialogue. But when we focus entirely on what we're doing, whether it's peeling an orange, writing, or simply breathing, we foster individuation and inner silence. Think of peeling an orange. It sounds trivial, right? But try doing it slowly, attentively, feeling the texture of the peel, smelling the citrus, listening to the sound of the skin breaking. Suddenly, a mundane task becomes an act of mindfulness, a moment of life fulfillment. This is how we reclaim serenity and reduce pathological anxiety, not through grand gestures, but through small, conscious acts of presence. The human mind, when given these moments, naturally reconnects with creativity and imagination. Living in this state counters the constant pull of distractions and media manipulation. Social media and sensationalist news thrive on keeping us reactive, always somewhere else in our thoughts. But presence anchors us. It fosters the body-mind-soul connection, dissolves fear, insecurity, and reduces the compulsive tendencies linked to technology addiction. As Helena Blavatsky wrote, "It is in the voice of silence that we find wisdom, a voice that can only be heard when we're fully present." Personal growth flourishes in presence. When we are attentive, we notice synchronicities and symbols that guide us, offering insights about ourselves and the world around us. Jung considered symbols as doorways to deeper understanding, and they often reveal themselves in the mundane when we are present. For example, stumbling upon a book that answers a question you've been silently pondering. These moments of synchronicity arise not from coincidence, but from mindful engagement with life. The more we practice presence, the more we cultivate a life rich in meaning and resistant to the pull of addictions. It's this presence that prepares us to observe life's symbols and synchronicities, offering a bridge to deeper human connection and understanding. A theme that naturally invites us to explore how learning from life signs can enrich our journey. Learning through life's symbols and synchronicities. Life is always speaking to us through symbols and synchronicities. We just have to pay attention. Carl Jung introduced the idea of synchronicity as meaningful coincidences that reflect the unconscious mind's dance with reality. But in a world dominated by technology addiction and constant distractions, the human mind has become deaf to these subtle messages. The symbolic richness of life gets drowned out by social media noise, sensationalist news, and a relentless inner dialogue that craves instant gratification over introspection. Consider how often you miss these signs, seeing the same number repeatedly, meeting a stranger who says exactly what you needed to hear, stumbling upon a book that answers your deepest question. These are not mere coincidences. They are symbols guiding your individuation and personal growth. Yet, if your attention is hijacked by media manipulation or technology addiction, you risk becoming blind to these meaningful encounters. The body-mind-soul connection is severed when presence is absent, and with it, the magic of synchronicity. Practically speaking, begin by creating moments of stillness in your day, spaces where you're not plugged into your cell phone or social media. A walk in nature, journaling, or even sitting quietly in solitude can sharpen your perception. These practices help reduce pathological anxiety, cultivate moment awareness, and open you up to life symbolism. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence is exactly this, the inner quiet that allows synchronicities to emerge and guide your human mind toward deeper fulfillment. Learning to interpret these symbols fosters self-awareness and strengthens the individuation process. For example, noticing recurring symbols in your dreams or waking life can reveal unconscious patterns or unresolved fears. Carl Jung believed that engaging with these symbols is essential for integrating the shadow and achieving a more authentic self. This kind of personal growth is impossible when we are disconnected from life, caught in cycles of fear, insecurity, and compulsive media consumption. By attuning to life's symbols, we begin to see that everything is interconnected and nothing is truly random. This awareness naturally enhances our capacity for human connection, reminding us that success in life is not just about mastering machines or technology, but about deeply understanding the people around us. Human connection as the core of success. In an era where technology addiction and social media dominate the landscape, it's easy to forget that true success is rooted in human connection, not algorithms. Carl Jung emphasized the importance of understanding the human psyche, and this wisdom applies more than ever in business, relationships, and personal growth. The human mind craves real interaction, eye contact, shared experiences, and empathy, far more than the fleeting dopamine hits of virtual likes and follows. Without these genuine connections, life fulfillment becomes elusive. Take investment agents, for example. The most successful are not those who rely solely on data analytics, but those who intuitively understand human behavior, fears, and desires. They leverage customer awareness, not just market trends, to build trust and foster long-term relationships. The same principle applies to anyone seeking material success. It's about mastering human connection, not becoming further entrenched in the isolating patterns of technology addiction. The body-mind-soul connection thrives in authentic interactions. Yet, technology can deceptively simulate connection while exacerbating loneliness and insecurity. Social media portrays an illusion of closeness, but often leaves people feeling more disconnected and anxious. This kind of disconnection breeds pathological anxiety and fuels the cycle of compulsive engagement with digital platforms. True personal growth demands that we step beyond these superficial interactions and invest time in real, present-moment human encounters, spaces where creativity, imagination, and personal dialogue flourish. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence reminds us that wisdom comes not from external validation, but from within, and human connection serves as a mirror reflecting our inner world. Engaging deeply with others fosters individuation by challenging our fears, confronting our shadows, and encouraging the integration of all aspects of the self. As Carl Jung might say, it is through relationships that we truly encounter ourselves, not through mindless scrolling or tech-driven distractions. By prioritizing human connection over machine interaction, we prepare ourselves to cultivate moments of inner silence and solitude, spaces where true self-reflection happens and where personal growth is catalyzed. These moments open the door to a profound relationship with oneself, setting the stage for exploring the importance of solitude in the journey toward individuation. The importance of inner silence and solitude. Inner silence and solitude are the forgotten arts of our hyper-connected age. The human mind, bombarded by social media notifications and media manipulation, rarely gets the chance to pause and simply be. Yet, Carl Jung insisted that individuation, the process of becoming the self, requires periods of solitude for inner dialogue and self-encounter. Without these sacred pauses, the body-mind-soul connection weakens, and technology addiction fills the void left by the absence of genuine reflection. Think of the last time you sat alone in a room without your cell phone, TV, or any distraction. For many, such a scenario is almost unthinkable. But it's in these quiet moments that personal growth flourishes. Inner silence cultivates serenity, reduces pathological anxiety, and makes space for the voice of silence, as Helena Blavatsky poetically described it. In solitude, the human mind can finally process fears, insecurities, and the unresolved aspects of the shadow that technology distractions often suppress. To make this practical, start by carving out 10 minutes daily for undisturbed solitude. No technology, no media, just you and your thoughts. Journaling can also be an excellent tool for engaging in conscious inner dialogue, helping you to identify patterns, vices, or areas where life fulfillment is lacking. These practices strengthen the body-mind-soul connection and make it easier to resist compulsive distractions, fostering presence and mindfulness in everyday life. Solitude isn't about loneliness. It's about deepening the relationship with oneself. While technology addiction fosters disconnection from life, inner silence reconnects you with your core values, desires, and creativity. This space allows imagination to flourish, free from the constraints of media sensationalism and the artificial urgency created by news outlets. It also heightens your sensitivity to life's symbolism and synchronicities, essential tools for navigating personal and spiritual growth. By embracing solitude, we gain clarity and resilience, becoming less vulnerable to the distractions and addictions that fragment the human mind. And yet, this recognition naturally brings us to a deeper question. Why do addictions arise in the first place? Often, they are symptoms of a fundamental lack of connection with life itself, a theme that will guide our next exploration. The root cause of addiction: lack of life connection. Addiction doesn't emerge out of nowhere. It's often a symptom of a deeper disconnect from life itself. Carl Jung would argue that when the human mind loses its connection to the richness of existence, it seeks substitutes in vices, distractions, and compulsive behaviors. Technology addiction, social media overuse, and even pathological anxiety are all manifestations of this disconnection. Without life fulfillment and meaningful engagement, the psyche becomes vulnerable to external manipulations and media sensationalism that feed fear and insecurity. Imagine someone who wakes up, immediately checks their phone, scrolls aimlessly through social media, and then spends the rest of the day reacting to digital stimuli. This cycle leaves little room for presence, creativity, or inner silence. The body-mind-soul connection deteriorates, creating a void that is quickly filled with more distractions. But when life is loved, When there's engagement with nature, relationships, and purposeful work, the need for escapism fades. Fulfillment acts as a shield against technology addiction and related vices. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence points to a path of reconnection, where one can hear the deeper yearnings of the soul beyond the noise of media manipulation. Practically, this might mean nurturing hobbies that foster presence and creativity, gardening, painting, cooking, or investing time in human connections rather than in virtual likes and shares. These activities strengthen personal growth, reduce fear and insecurity, and remind the human mind of its capacity for imagination and meaningful engagement. Psychoanalysis teaches that addictions often mask an underlying existential emptiness, a disconnection from purpose and individuation. By restoring that connection through mindfulness, moment awareness, and cultivating life fulfillment, the need for external escapes diminishes. The human mind thrives when engaged in activities that resonate with its authentic self, rather than being numbed by constant digital distractions. This alignment brings serenity, reduces pathological anxiety, and promotes a healthier relationship with technology. Recognizing addiction as a symptom of disconnection opens the door to healing. But how do we know when we've crossed the line from casual tech use into dependence? There are often subtle signs in our daily habits, which, if left unchecked, can grow into full-blown addiction, a crucial point to explore next. Recognizing signs of technology addiction. Recognizing the signs of technology addiction is the first step toward regaining control and fostering personal growth. One of the most common indicators is reaching for the phone first thing in the morning, even before acknowledging your own presence. This automatic behavior reflects how deeply technology has infiltrated the human mind, replacing natural moments of inner silence with compulsive checking. Carl Jung would interpret this as the shadow's influence, an unconscious habit that keeps individuation at bay and sustains disconnection from life. It's not just about the frequency of use, but the quality of your relationship with technology. Do you feel anxious or insecure when you're separated from your phone? Are you unable to enjoy solitude without scrolling through social media or consuming media sensationalism? These patterns reveal a dependency that weakens the body-mind-soul connection and undermines life fulfillment. The human mind becomes trapped in a cycle where presence and mindfulness are continually sacrificed for fleeting digital engagement. Start observing your daily routines. For example, do you check your phone during meals, conversations, or even in the bathroom? These micro-habits are subtle, yet powerful indicators of technology addiction. To counter this, consider implementing tech-free zones in your home or scheduling periods of deliberate disconnection. These practical steps help restore inner silence, reduce pathological anxiety, and create space for personal dialogue and creativity, essential elements of personal growth and individuation. Recognizing these signs also prepares you to confront the deeper fears and insecurities that fuel compulsive tech use. Often, technology addiction masks a discomfort with solitude or an aversion to facing the human mind's inner workings. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence invites us to embrace these quiet spaces, where we can engage with our true selves beyond media manipulation and social conditioning. It is in these spaces that the process of individuation and the strengthening of the self can truly occur. But beyond personal habits, we must also recognize the systemic forces at play. The media's role in cultivating fear, insecurity, and anxiety for profit. Understanding this broader context is essential for breaking free from the cycle of technology addiction, a topic we'll now explore more deeply. Media's role in cultivating fear and anxiety. The media has mastered the art of cultivating fear and anxiety, exploiting the human mind's vulnerabilities for profit. Sensationalist headlines and constant notifications fuel pathological anxiety, feeding insecurity and fear while promoting dependence on their platforms. Carl Jung would likely argue that this is a modern manifestation of archetypal manipulation, where external forces shape our inner world without our conscious awareness. Media manipulation, then, becomes a powerful driver of technology addiction and disconnection from life fulfillment. Consider how news outlets rarely emphasize positive stories. Instead, they focus on crises, disasters, and threats, creating an environment of artificial danger. This constant bombardment erodes serenity and makes it difficult to cultivate the body-mind-soul connection essential for personal growth and individuation. The human mind, bombarded with fear-based content, is more likely to retreat into compulsive scrolling, seeking reassurance, but only finding more reasons to be anxious and disconnected from life. It's important to recognize this dynamic and actively resist it. One practical approach is curating your media consumption, choosing reliable sources, setting time limits, or even engaging in periodic news fasts. These actions reduce exposure to media sensationalism and allow space for inner silence, creativity, and self-encounter. As Helena Blavatsky suggested, wisdom arises from the voice of silence, not from the endless chatter of fear-driven narratives. Reclaiming control over what you consume fosters presence and moment awareness. Moreover, understanding media's role in this cycle empowers you to break free from unconscious behavioral patterns. Psychoanalysis teaches that once we become aware of the forces influencing us, we can consciously choose how to respond. Rather than succumbing to technology addiction driven by fear and insecurity, you can redirect your focus toward personal growth, human connection, and meaningful engagement with life. This shift strengthens the individuation process and reduces dependence on external validation. However, awareness alone isn't enough. To truly liberate ourselves, we must develop a healthy relationship with safety and risk, understanding how to protect ourselves without succumbing to paranoia. This balance is crucial for cultivating a fruitful and fulfilling life, a theme we'll now explore further. Healthy relationship with safety and risk. Living a fruitful and fulfilling life requires balancing sensible security measures with a courageous embrace of risk. The media often exaggerates dangers, promoting a culture of paranoia that feeds fear, insecurity, and ultimately, pathological anxiety. Carl Jung would argue that excessive fixation on safety reflects an unconscious avoidance of the unknown, the very space where individuation and personal growth occur. The human mind, conditioned by media manipulation, often sacrifices life fulfillment for the illusion of absolute security. Think about how many avoid new experiences, relationships, or adventures out of fear. Technology addiction exacerbates this by offering a safe digital cocoon where one can simulate experiences without actually living them. But real growth happens outside these comfort zones, in the physical world where the body-mind-soul connection is tested and strengthened. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence reminds us that true wisdom arises not from avoiding life's risks, but from engaging with them mindfully and courageously. Practically, this means making deliberate choices to step into situations that promote presence and creativity, even if they carry uncertainty. Taking a solo trip, starting a new hobby, or initiating a difficult conversation. All these actions foster personal growth and reduce reliance on escapist behaviors like compulsive social media use. They also help dismantle the pathological anxiety perpetuated by sensationalist media narratives, reconnecting you with life's spontaneity and richness. Psychoanalysis reveals that fear of risk often masks deeper insecurities and unresolved aspects of the shadow. By facing these fears consciously, we strengthen our resilience and foster individuation. The human mind, when engaged with life rather than retreating into media-induced paranoia, experiences greater serenity and a more profound sense of fulfillment. This conscious engagement nurtures creativity, imagination, and the ability to live fully in the present moment. As we develop a healthier relationship with safety and risk, we begin to see humanity in a new light. Not as the dangerous, threatening mass portrayed by the media, but as a community filled with mostly good people. Recognizing this truth invites us to explore how seeing the good in humanity reshapes our relationship with life and technology. Seeing the good in humanity. Despite what media manipulation and news sensationalism would have us believe, most people are fundamentally good. The human mind, however, is easily swayed by repeated narratives of danger and malevolence, leading to chronic fear, insecurity, and pathological anxiety. Carl Jung would remind us that these perceptions are often projections of our own shadow, making it essential to differentiate between media-induced fear and the reality of human connection. Disconnection from life perpetuates these illusions, fueling technology addiction and social isolation. Think about your personal experiences. How often have strangers shown kindness, helped you, or shared a moment of genuine connection? These encounters often go unreported by the media, but are statistically far more common than acts of harm. Yet, if we are constantly plugged into social media or sensationalist news, our perception of humanity becomes skewed, making us more anxious and less likely to engage in real-life interactions that foster presence, creativity, and personal growth. To counteract this, consider deliberately seeking out positive human experiences. Volunteer at a local charity, strike up a conversation with a stranger, or simply offer help when you see someone in need. These actions not only reaffirm your belief in humanity's goodness, but also strengthen the body-mind-soul connection and promote individuation. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence reminds us that true wisdom emerges from engaging with life, not from retreating in fear. Seeing the good in humanity also makes us less susceptible to technology addiction. When real-life connections are fulfilling, the human mind no longer craves the artificial validation of social media or the false sense of security provided by constant digital engagement. Instead, life fulfillment comes from authentic interactions that cultivate inner silence, reduce pathological anxiety, and encourage mindfulness and moment awareness. Recognizing humanity's inherent goodness shifts our entire orientation toward life, making it easier to live in the present moment rather than being trapped by future fears or digital distractions. This natural reorientation leads us seamlessly into the exploration of how living fully in the present moment transforms our experience of life. Living in the present moment. Living fully in the present moment is both a radical act and a profound remedy against technology addiction. The human mind, conditioned by media manipulation and social media's endless scroll, often prioritizes future fantasies or past regrets over moment awareness. Carl Jung emphasized that individuation happens here and now, not in some distant, hypothetical future. Yet, pathological anxiety thrives precisely because people abandon the present in favor of expectations, fears, and digital distractions that disconnect them from life fulfillment. Consider how much time is spent mentally elsewhere, worrying about future goals, comparing yourself on social media, or ruminating over past mistakes. These habits erode the body-mind-soul connection, fostering discontent and anxiety. By contrast, focusing on present experiences, whether it's savoring a meal, enjoying a conversation, or observing nature, nurtures serenity, creativity, and personal growth. Helena Blavatsky's voice of silence echoes here too. Wisdom and fulfillment arise from stillness, not from compulsive forward projection. A practical approach to cultivating presence is engaging in mindfulness practices such as meditation, breath work, or even mindful walking. These simple actions help anchor the human mind in the now, reducing the compulsive need to escape through technology or media sensationalism. They also foster inner silence and self-encounter, making space for authentic personal dialogue rather than the reactive noise perpetuated by technology addiction. Living in the present also transforms our relationship with expectations. Instead of chasing future rewards or fearing future failures, we can find fulfillment in the richness of current experiences. This mindset shift reduces pathological anxiety and promotes resilience, allowing us to engage with life more creatively and authentically. The human mind, when present, becomes more attuned to synchronicities and symbolism, deepening personal growth and individuation. But presence alone isn't enough if underlying anxiety is left unchecked. Chronic, unmanaged anxiety can still erode our well-being, even when we strive to live mindfully. That's why it's essential to understand how anxiety can escalate into pathological patterns, and how mindfulness and presence serve as powerful tools to prevent that descent. Preventing anxiety from becoming pathological. Anxiety is a natural part of the human experience, but when left unchecked, it can evolve into something pathological, undermining life fulfillment and personal growth. The human mind, when overwhelmed by media manipulation, social media noise, and technology addiction, struggles to process fears healthfully. Carl Jung would argue that such anxiety often signals a disconnect from the self and a failure to integrate unconscious fears. Without this integration, anxiety festers, feeding insecurity, fear, and compulsive behaviors that weaken the body-mind-soul connection. Think about the daily barrage of alarming news, notifications, and social comparisons. These stimuli activate a constant low-grade stress response, creating an environment where pathological anxiety can thrive. The human mind, in this state, becomes more susceptible to technology addiction, using digital distractions as a means of escape. But this only exacerbates the problem, pulling us further away from presence, serenity, and the inner silence essential for individuation and personal growth. To prevent anxiety from becoming pathological, mindfulness is indispensable. Simple practices like focused breathing, journaling, or setting boundaries around media consumption can reduce reactivity and promote inner silence. Helena Blavatsky's Voice of Silence serves as a reminder that stillness is where we confront and transform anxiety, rather than allowing it to dictate our behaviors. Mindfulness fosters moment awareness, reconnecting us with life's rhythms and reducing the compulsive tendencies driven by insecurity. Additionally, embracing creativity and imagination as tools for processing anxiety can be incredibly healing. Artistic expression, movement, or even philosophical contemplation provide outlets for the human mind to metabolize stress in constructive ways. These practices support the individuation process by allowing the integration of shadow elements, transforming fear and insecurity into wisdom and resilience. They also help break the cycle of compulsive media consumption and technology addiction. Preventing anxiety from becoming pathological is not about eliminating discomfort, but about cultivating a healthy relationship with it, acknowledging it, working through it, and not allowing it to control your life. This approach sets the stage for a more fulfilling existence, where presence and personal growth can flourish beyond the grip of addiction. And with this, we come full circle, ready to weave all these insights into a powerful introduction for the psychology of addiction. Now that you've uncovered the real psychology of addiction, what will you do with this knowledge? Will you keep allowing technology, social media, and media manipulation to dictate your mood, presence, and sense of fulfillment? Or will you take the courageous step toward reclaiming your body-mind-soul connection, cultivating inner silence, and embracing personal growth through conscious choices? The human mind is far more powerful than the distractions that seek to control it, if only you dare to wield that power with mindfulness and moment awareness. Imagine waking up tomorrow without immediately reaching for your phone, savoring your coffee in stillness, and starting your day with intention rather than reaction. What would it feel like to reconnect with nature, creativity, and human connection, to reduce pathological anxiety and foster serenity? These aren't distant dreams. They're practical shifts that you can make right now. The journey toward individuation and life fulfillment begins not with grand resolutions, but with simple, deliberate acts of presence and self-encounter. So what's your next move? Will you choose to continue living on autopilot, letting media sensationalism fuel your fears and compulsions? Or will you break the cycle, embrace the voice of silence, and live with more purpose, imagination, and authenticity? If this exploration sparks something within you, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way, you'll keep receiving insights like this, tools to help you navigate the human mind's complexities and achieve a more fulfilling, present-centered life.